This is NDTV, and you're watching NDTV 24/7.
Well, welcome back. This is Battleground Kerala. Once again, let me remind you, we're on these beautiful backwaters just outside Cochin, and these Chinese fishing nets. This technology has been used for 500 years, and they fish at night, and it's just gorgeous, and they just caught a huge fish. Maybe they'll catch more as this program goes on. With me, of course, is the one and only Dorab Supariwala, who this time is going to tell you who's going to win this election. Not like last time where he said all depends. I mean, that's the worst answer you could possibly get. We also have who I will call a journalist, former editor of a newspaper, now Rajya Sabha MP. Thank you very much for joining us. And also a journalist and a writer, Mr. Roy. Thank you very much for joining us. Dorab, you've traveled now up and down the busy roads of Kerala. 1 week to go for election, 1 week to go for voting, and it's all going to happen in one time. The whole is one phase.
One day.
You didn't see many posters, not much action.
No, but I don't know whether the election commissioners is clamping down on the excitement, because even in Tamil Nadu, where we traveled a couple of days, there was virtually no election fever. If you think back 10 or 15 years, there were, drums and beatings and public meetings. It's much more quiet this time. Probably they have a better idea why it is so.
But you may, Mr. Rajiv, you may have a bit different perspective because you've actually been campaigning, going around. Are the voters less interested this time, or as usual they are engaged in what's happening?
That is not true, not less interested. Actually, people interested in these political activities. In Kerala, actually the elections are the festivals of the people. Most of the people are participated in the election campaigns. This time, I agree with you, that is some election commission's interventions and some controls that reflected in the election campaigns, because they are counting all the posters. They are not allowing sticking the posters on public places. Before sticking a poster or writing a wall, we should get permission from the landowner before that, and there is a very strong mechanism to account the expenditure. Their expenditure calculation is entirely different from our experience. We collect the money from the booth level, and they erect the boards and other things. But their approach is we collect the money and deposit in a common account of the candidate, and from that account you spend all these monies.
So some people may feel they're overdoing it. Others feel that maybe it's time that expenditure was controlled and people were overdoing the amount of... But tell me, when we have traveled around Kerala and asked opinion polls, the people here are so literate, so political, so wise. They would tell me, no, your question is not right. This is the way you should ask it. You're asking a question that can be misunderstood. They knew more about opinion polls than Dorab and me knew. Very intelligent and literate population.
No, they have political convictions and all. But the thing is that this time what we see, as myself, as a journalist who have covered at least last 35 years, all the election, I beg to differ with Raju. This is the only election where people are not at all emotional regarding the election. They are not at all serious at all. Otherwise, you could see, if you travel from one side to the city to this side, you could see at least 10 demonstrations, and every tea shops, discussions are going on. That is not going to happen. That does not mean that our voters are not politically minded. They have, but they don't show any keen interest in the public performance.
Maybe that's not a bad thing. Maybe it's the maturing of the electorate. You don't have to really get emotional. Let's have a look at the current condition. What is the basic foundation which this election is happening? Remember, in the last election, 2006, the CPM won the election. They got, in fact, 94 seats compared to the UDF's 41. But in the recent parliamentary elections held in Kerala, if you break it down assembly segment-wise, the UDF, that's the Congress-led front, got 100 seats, 100 assembly segments, and the left, CPM-led left front, 39. So it was a reversal. Overall in Kerala, this is a state with sizable Muslim and Christian communities. In fact, the Muslims, as you can see by this graphic, are in the northern part predominantly. The Christians are in the central part, and the Hindus dominate the south. Of course, there are Hindus everywhere. Hindus are 56% of the population, Muslims 25%, and Christians about 19%. So a very strong mixture. One interesting trend, if you look at what's happening over the last 20-30 years, the two fronts together have grown in strength. 20-30 years ago, the UDF plus LDF had about 68% of the vote. Now they've gone up to 86%. That's a huge increase. And look at the decline of independents. They used to be 16%, now they're down to 7%. So it's a squeezing out of the smaller parties and independents. But one amazing factor, which is very similar to Tamil Nadu, just look at this. It's a seesaw. Once the UDF is in, next election they're out. Then they're in again, then they're out. Similarly, the LDF, you're in, then you're out. In, it's an alternating politics of this state.
NDTV's cricket app, Android and iPhone, fastest scorecard, special analysis, and much more. Download free. ndtv.com/apps.